As you're walking in, please find a seat quietly. Please take a sticker and put it on your chest. If you don't have it yet, please put away your phones. Please find your seats quietly.
It's totally fine. We're up and done. Yeah, for sure.
Please find your seats quietly as you're coming in. Please remember to put up your cell phones. Please put up your cell phones. Please put up your cell phones as you're coming inside. Please grab a sticker, put it on your shirt, and find a seat quietly. Everybody, please find a seat quietly. Please find a seat quietly. Please remember to put up your cell phones. Please find a seat quietly. As you are coming in, please find a seat quietly. Put your cell phones up. Please find a seat quietly. Oops. Gabe, can you press play on this video, please? Thank you. Please find a seat quietly. Please remember to put up your cell phones.
אנחנו דם אחד עם אחד מיוחד.
Okay. We've gathered together as a school community in the Epstein Stein Auditorium, many of you since you have been in nursery school, for happy events, milestone events in your lives, an opportunity to celebrate our community. Sometimes, sadly, we gather together as a community to commemorate some of the most horrific and deeply penetrating events that have impacted the Jewish community, usually in the past in our history. Today is very different, because today we are gathering together not only to commemorate such trauma that our Jewish people and the entire world has experienced, but in the current day as it's still going on. Usually we commemorate events that have closure. We could look back at them, learn from them. We could try as best as we can to gain perspective. But as we gather today, we are in the middle of a battle. The Jewish people against evil, and to some degree, Jewish values against a world order which has become twisted and confused. Zechor Yemot Olam Binu Shnot Dor Vador, the pasuk tells us in Parshat Azinu. Zechor Yemot Olam is in the moment. We are remembering what happened since October 7th, 2023. Binu Shnot Dor Vador is also to understand in a larger context. Binu, to understand with deep and penetrating insight. And the larger context of not just what happened October 7th, but the larger context of the Jewish people. See, my friends, our people have suffered and struggled, and it's somber and it's sad. There's no question. And we continue to be concerned and worried and focused about the day-to-day, Zechor Yemot Olam. But we also have to take a step back, and we have to recognize and remember, recall and reflect that Binu Shnot Dor Vador, we are Am HaNetzach. We are a people of eternity. We are people who have gone through and continue to go through struggles. We always emerge stronger, better, and smarter. This generation, your generation, our generation of boys and girls, young men and women, you'll see a little later, both here in the United States on the college campuses, here in our school, there in Israel, have been able to establish themselves as warriors of the Jewish people. But while that is happening, and we look at the Jewish people and our strength and our solidarity and our unity, it is incumbent upon us to remember Zechor Yemot Olam. And the more we remember the current, and we take serious introspection and focus, we recall and we think about how we got here, the stronger and more resilient we'll be as we move towards the future. So today our program is dedicated in two parts to the events since October 7th. And one part will be the tragedy, the sadness, will be the unbearable pain that individual families have experienced and the collective community that is still going on today as rockets fell in Tel Aviv. But the program will also include a second half. And that half is as important because it's going to mobilize and inspire and encourage us to find strength and resolve and fortitude to deal with and to embrace and to engage the complications of the current time that we're living in, and not only answer them, but overcome them. And as I'll say in my concluding remarks, Am HaNetzach lo mefached. And I believe that the reason why there is so much hatred towards us that you feel directly and indirectly, because we will always represent the goodness and the integrity and the honesty of world civilization. And evil can't live with that. So the stronger and better we are, the greater the forces of light. And that's who you are. You are the forces of light. I know that. I know many of you. I know almost all of you. And I've seen generations of children come and go from the Joseph Cushing Hebrew Academy and the Ray Kush Shiva High School, and I know, by just knowing the way that you're going to go through your stations of life, how you are currently and will be the rays of light for the Jewish people and for the world. I invite to begin our program to the stage Amiel and Noah to lead us in a Perikim Tehillim. No clapping, no clap. Clips, okay, thank you. I appreciate your recognition. But we're going to keep it a little bit somber and serious, and you can keep your gratitude and appreciation to yourselves, which also is very meaningful. Please rise. Could you get that flag? Thank you. Our two wonderful students will recite one verse, and you will repeat the same verse after them like we do in Beit Knesset.
Shir lamalu desaina ahari mein yavoizri. Ezri mi maduna yosef shemaim varetz. El yitin no raglacha al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum lo yishan shomer Yisrael. Yomama shemesh le'akeka v'reach b'layla.
Adonai yishmerecha mikol ra'in nafshecha.
Adonai yishmor tzizluecha me'atav yadulah.
Please be seated. We have a privilege today to hear from a survivor of the Nova Massacre, the concert. You probably know, if not today, you certainly will know, that on that same date of October 7th, there was a music festival in the south, near the southern border of Gaza. It went on for several days, and it was one of just young people celebrating their lives and their futures. The evil barbarian terrorists attacked the Nova Festival and unfortunately murdered and harmed in ways that we shouldn't describe so many of those who participated. Last year, the 11th and 12th grade went to the Nova Museum, the traveling museum that was in the city. And one of the girls said to me after we had a chance to reflect on it, that it was so different than visiting any other exhibit of the past of the Jewish history, because she was just used to seeing artifacts of long ago. But when walking by each of the exhibits and saw the same makeup that she would use, and that saw that as part of the exhibit, how much more it hurt and penetrated her soul to identify with those who were just celebrating their citizenship and their belonging to Medinat Yisrael. Today we are fortunate to introduce Tomer, a survivor of the Noah Music Festival, who will be interviewed and will engage in a conversation with Nathan Orbach, class of 2020, who has been deeply involved in memorializing and commemorating the events of October. And through their conversation, you will get, I think, a personal history that you will be able to take with you. So when you speak to others, you become the Tomer, you become the Nathan, you become the history of the Jewish people, and you are Zachor Yemot Olam. I invite to the stage Nathan and Tomer.
Good morning, everyone.
Everyone.
So, thank you, Rabbi Rubin, for doing this amazing event. It's definitely great to be back in Kushner. A little bit weird to be sitting on stage, but definitely good to be back. And this conversation with Tomer is going to be more of the types of conversations we've been having since October 7th. Really not much of an interview, not much of a panel, but really just a conversation between two friends about October 7th and about Tomer's life before October 7th. So for starters, Tomer, I know today is very hard for you. So we really appreciate you coming. We really appreciate you being here and sharing your story. Maybe just to start off, you can tell us a little bit about yourself, what your life was like before October 7th, where you're from, and just introduce yourself to all the students here.
I will start and say thank you for coming today. My name is Tomer Meir. I'm 21 years old from Givatayim, Israel. I will say that it's crazy for me to go back to school, high school, to see the kids. My last 3 years was not about high school. I just finished my service in the paratroopers, and it's very special for me to be here today. I think that I'm looking back and I'm seeing all the Israeli flags that we have here, and we're in New York right now, New Jersey, and to see that there is such a strong Jewish community around New York, it's very special for me. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being proud Jews. I appreciate that.
So now moving towards October 7th, obviously Rabbi Rubin alluded to the fact that it was a music festival. It was a crazy time. What was your life like before 629 when the rocket started?
So as I said, I served in the paratroopers, so my life was separated between the time that I'm in the army, that there I did my active duties, trainings, whatever the army asked me to do, I did, and to the time that I'm home, regular 19, 20 years old, living in a big city, a lot of surfing, sports, good time with friends when you're coming back. The weekends that you have are very short, so you're trying to fill all the time that you have with everything that you really like, your mother, good food, and everything like that. I feel like when I'm thinking back about my life before, they were so different from my life now, and I could never expect where my life will be right now. But I'm also blessing that, and we'll talk about it more, I think.
So can you set the stage of what the Nova Festival was like, again, before the rocket started? What were the vibes like? Just set the stage for us.
Mm-hmm. So it was my first Nova Festival. They made few festivals in Israel, and I heard about that from friends. They said that the community of people that going to the festival is amazing, and we're always looking for the place that we could feel free with ourselves, that we can be who we are, and to just, I think, articulate ourselves without any afraid from judgment. And when I went to Nova with my friends, I feel like we really found that place. And we're talking about a dancing stage that there's more than 3,000 people dancing together. And when I'm saying together, I mean together. Yeah, you're coming with your friends, and I came with 14 of my friends, but when I went to the main dancing stage, I could really feel that we all came together with the same intentions and the same purpose, and I think that it was very beautiful to experience that. I'm talking about it right now, and I feel the good feelings that I experienced, so it means a lot. Yeah.
So you're saying that up until that moment where the rocket started, when I spoke to you, you said it was the best time of your life. You really felt the music, you felt the energy. We were actually looking last night, and one of our mutual friends now that also survived Nova had a random picture on her Instagram story with Tomer in it, and they didn't know each other before the night, but it was just a classic example of two people really just there to celebrate life, running into each other and becoming lifelong friends as a result. So now moving on, obviously 6:29, the moment the music stopped, a moment that really changed so many lives forever. Can you walk us through what happened and maybe just go, not in so much detail, but a little bit about your story?
Yeah, of course. 6:29, as I told you, the whole night it's a big dancing stage of a lot of people that just dancing together. So I brought with me a lot of fruits and grapes, and in the morning I just decided that it will be the best time to just bring everything out and give it to the like all the people that dancing, and it's Israel, it's very hot in that time. A few minutes before, I have a very amazing picture that I'm literally feeding my friend with grapes. Yeah, and a few minutes after that, everything changed. The music stopped, and we started to hear the red sirens, rockets flying all over, big sounds of explosions, and from a calm and peaceful dancing stage, it became to be an horror movie, and we had to leave the area because you don't want to be in an open field when there's rockets, because the way that Iron Dome is working, it will first save rockets that go into the direction of kibbutzim or cities, and when you're in open field, it's not the safest place to be. I took my friends to the car that I was driving in, and we decided to leave the area, but it was impossible because the way out was so blocked and the traffic was insane that we had to, we felt like something is weird, and we didn't know in that time that there's terrorists in Israel, but something felt very weird. And because I served in the army, and all my friends in my car also served in the army, we have a lot of WhatsApp groups that people were talking about what's going on right now. And we got a very weird messages. The amount of the messages that we got in that specific groups were also weird, because it's groups that sending details only when there's something very bad that happens. And when we start to get a lot of messages there, we understood that there's something bigger than what we're thinking there is.
Was there a specific moment where you realized the intensity and the magnitude of the situation you were in? Was there an event or something that made you, I'm trying to give you time to drink your water, but a time that you were like, holy cow, this is happening?
So I think that we all have the funniest friend that is always not serious, and no matter what you will do and no matter what's going on, it will always be funny. And so I have that friend, his name is Uri, and he's always making jokes and always turning the serious situation to the most non-serious situation. So we're hiding in a pipe under the road that's supposed to transporting water when there's a rain, because you don't want the road to be flooded. And we're sitting there thinking what to do, and I'm like trying to figure out what's going on around me, and there's a huge chaos, and it's the beginning of everything. I'm talking about something around 7:20, and I'm seeing Uri on his phone, like very serious, like typing like crazy. And I'm coming to him like, what are you doing? We need to plan what will be our next step. I need you with me. And he's like, see what's going on here. Like, we're not going to get out of it. We're done. Like, I'm typing my last words because I don't think we're going to get out of it. And for me, the moment that you're seeing your very good friend that is not serious, becoming very serious, and understand that maybe that's the end of his life, really shocked me, because nothing preparing you to that. And the way that I'm seeing my friends right now. It's not obviously not the way that I saw them before, and it was very, very tough for me to see your friend giving up and saying, "That's it. I don't think we'll survive that," in such an early time. Yeah, it was very shocking.
So you're sitting here. We know how the story ends, thank God. Do you want to just talk quickly about the final escape, how you got out, and what moment you realized you were safe and you were clear from the atrocities of that day?
Yeah, so my story started in the car, as I told you, when I collected my friend when he started to leave the area. The traffic was huge, and we got the messages, and we started to understand that there's something big than what we think, and it's not only rockets. The next part of the story was that I tried to get out of the traffic and find police officers, or maybe use them or let them know something that they don't know. I didn't really understand if they're connected, and getting the details that I'm getting from the army. And yeah, we tried to go out from other way. For those of you who saw the Nova exhibit, the Nova was a huge field, and there's not a lot of legal roads to get out of the area. So I took my car from the side of the road, and I got me and my friends to a better position, and then there we decided to leave the car and to continue to hide in the tunnel, the pipe tunnel. Then there, my friend Uri wrote his last words, and that time we got ambushed very badly. Massive fire that we got in the direction of the tunnel, and a lot of people got shot there. Ben and I, my friend, made it to come back to the road, and we didn't find the two other friends that were also there. They were still hiding, and the chaos was so big, and we had to continue run to find police or the IDF or something to just come back to the tunnel and save these people that getting shot right now. We thought that we're in a better point, and we found a police officer in the spot, the barricade that they're open to help the people not get out and to stay in the same area. But then when we got there, we started to speak to the police officer, and we got ambushed also there. It was one of the massive ambushes that happened on the Nova area. Route 232, they started to eliminate all the police officers that were there. And yeah, we had to run away to the field. I don't know if you can imagine the situation, but I'm talking about Ben, my friend, and I. It's my best friend from the army. It's my buddy. It's a guy that I did everything with him. I'm still doing everything with him. I'm blessed that he's here right now, but you know, nothing preparing you. Also, the army is not preparing you for the moment that you will run away, actually naked, without weapon, without something to save and protect yourself and the people that are around you. My military service was about to give to others and to help and to protect civilians. And when you're running away naked and you're seeing people on your left and on your right that are getting shot and not continuing, and you have nothing to do with that, it's not the values that I grew up with, and it was very tough for me to do it. Yeah, we continued to ride in the field, and we had the lucky because we saw some jeep that making back and forth in the field. We jumped on his back, and he got us to a better area in the field. It wasn't that far, and he came back to bring more people. On that point, we had to hide because the fire was so heavy, and we're not planned to what to do because every time we got more fire from different directions, and we realized that we're getting ambushed from all the directions. So we had to lie for a second and hide and think about a better thing to do. In that point, the car was driving around the field, and trying also to find a direction to get out. Saw us lying there, and he was like, "What are you doing? Like it's a it's such a bad place to hide. Everyone can see you. Like come up to the car. Let's gather together and try to find a way together to escape." We tried any direction on the field. Any direction that you're trying on the huge field, it's terrible because you're seeing more from what's happening right now, and there's a lot. People are lying on the ground because they can't continue. I was also a combat medic in the army, and for me to see all that and without the option to do something, but because the fire is so heavy, it was very tough. In that point, we started to hear screams in Hebrew, but with very heavy Arab accent. They actually said that they have a way to escape and to get out of the field. They know the field. They introduced themselves as Bedouin, and they were actually Bedouin. And Bedouin, it's Israeli Arabs who living in Israel. Most of them are shepherds, means that they're living in the fields and they know the fields very well. They knew a way to escape of the field, and we followed them with our car. And they saved my life. They saved my friend's life. On my way back to Tel Aviv, I opened my phone to realize what I lost and what I have. It's like you're starting to make a list of what happened to you. And I realized that through that day, until the evening, I didn't know what happened to my other friends. I'm telling you again, we came 14 friends, and that's a big amount of people that you need to make sure that they survive this unimaginable thing that you don't really understand what happened to yourself, and then you need to understand what happened to your friends. And if they're alive, they're not talking. At the evening, we realized that all the 14 survived, but I also got a very bad news about other friends from the army that died like heroes. They tried to save people in the kibbutzim, and they died. But I will never forget that way back home, that when we left the area, the war zone area, everything was so quiet. And in my head, nothing was quiet. I just saw the craziest thing that I ever saw in my life, and I felt like nobody really understand what happened to us. And yeah, we made it home to Tel Aviv, and I think that's where my second chapter of my life starts.
Wow. So as you just said, the second chapter of your life. Last night we had an event at the Chabad House in NYU, and on the poster in big letters it said, "From darkness to light," which is kind of a strange wording for an October 7th event. But the first time I met Tomer said to me a crazy line that stuck with me until today. And he said that what's important to him is the ability to take pain, turn that pain into power, and that power into purpose, which was definitely something that stuck with me. And even a couple of days ago on Rosh Hashanah, we were walking back from shul, and Tomer said very beautifully and very poetic, but he said, a lot of people on October 7th, their story was written, and that was it. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's also just a great message for Rosh Hashanah. But he said their story was written on October 7th, and that was it. But Tomer said the beauty of his story is that it keeps on getting written every day. So as we go into the second part, as you said, the second chapter, what was that process of coming to America, getting involved in the Nova exhibit, and how has your story continued since October 7th?
Yeah, so I think in October 7, in that day, my life looked like a horror movie. I felt like one of the characters in a horror movie, that they're just running away, and someone who produced the movie, you don't know his plans, but it was a movie. And after that, I was asking myself, like, if it was a movie, what will be the next part of the movie? That if I was someone that watching the movie, what will be the next part of the movie that I want to watch? It was very tough for me to do it, and it took me a lot of time. I didn't go out of my room for a while. It took me a lot of time to come back to life. But one of the best things that happened to us since October 7th, that the Israeli people, the Jewish people, really gathered together and understood the power of the community, and they understood the power of Jewish people. And one of the first things that happened after October 7th, that volunteers in Israel opened kind of healing places. It was kind of like day camp places, places we could just gather as a community of people that survived October 7 and specifically Nova. And we gathered there every day, and we got the treatments that we needed, psychologists, and from yoga to activities to gym, lunch together, just like a day camp that you, with the same people who experienced the same thing that you just experienced, and nobody will understand you. In that healing places, I met an amazing guy. His name is Yaniv, and he came to Israel to just try to help people, make them smile. And he met me and my friend, and we had a very close connection. We continued to speak after he left back to the United States, and he called me one day. He told me, listen, I'm bringing a group of people on a mission to Israel. I want them to see everything that I saw, and I want them to meet you and your friends. And I was like, okay, do it, like talk to me, whatever. He came again to one of the healing places with a bunch of amazing people, and they decided to bring the Nova exhibit that Nathan was just asking about. And the Nova exhibit was an exhibit that showing how the Nova looked like. It's really giving you the feeling of being there, and it was very important to me. I came there to speak for 10 days, and every time I extended my flight more and more because I felt like I found something that is bigger than me. There's this thing that we're doing, and they're just bigger than us, so I felt that, and I decided to stay more and more, and it wasn't easy for me to do it, to speak about my story. It's not easy to me today also to do it. We're here from October 7, and it's like I have families that I still need to speak to them, my friends' families, and I'm not doing it yet because that was more important to me, to speak to people and to spread their message. And that's what I did for 3 months, and I hope that I'm doing it right now. Yeah.
So I think just to close off, last night when you were speaking, you said this whole idea of, unfortunately, we lost so many heroes on October 7th, and it's important for us, even a year later, to do something to commemorate their lives, to show their heroism. Do you have any closing words, maybe something we can all take on in Elul, but something that we can bring in to remember everyone that was lost on October 7th?
Yeah, so as I said, it's October 7, and I know a lot of heroes from that day. People just like you and me, that did amazing things in their last moments of their life and saved so many people that will have families, and they will continue their life because of my friends. And I'm glad that I know people like that. They're inspiring me, and they changed me. After October 7, the easiest thing for me to do was to just lie on bed, be depressed, and say how it happened to me, and be angry about the world and how everything happened to me. I think that what really changed my mind was the fact that it's not happened to me, it's happened for me. Life is not about being easy. I think that life is about do something that is meaningful for you and put that effort to make things in your life to be better. I feel that after October 7, I met so many amazing people, and in all that darkness, I met so many candles of light that feel that darkness that I feel that I have in my life. And yeah, I said that I could be just doing nothing, and it was acceptable because I experienced so much. But I decided to stay here, and I started my first year at YU as a freshman. So I think that the thing that made me do it was one of my friend. He was always like the best guy. Afik was his name. On October 7, he was killed on Kfar Aza while he fought against something like 100 terrorists with only another one soldier, his commander. They found his body after that while he's taking care of his commander, who was also a combat medic, so he tried to save his commander's life, and that's how they found him. So I don't think when he did that, it was the easiest thing to do. But I think he just did that because he needed to. I think we can all choose one story that day. I got that sticker when I walked in. So I think it's not that complicated to find one hero to read about, to understand more how he did and what he did. In this generation, we don't need to go to Wikipedia or something. You can just open the Instagram and find more details about the person. I feel that it's the best way to memorize people. And I also got, before I came here, the Lashon Hara Lo Medaber Elai. It's Nathan is very involved in that organization, and they're doing amazing thing. I think the biggest mitzvah of this day, and the easiest one maybe, to just speak good about each other, feel more compassion. It's a crazy world, people are experiencing crazy things. We need to be there for them, and I appreciate your time, and I wish you all to continue to do amazing things in your life. I trust you. I met part of you in the Nova exhibit, and I met an amazing people. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Tomer. As I say to you all the time, you really inspire me every day. And I know you inspire so many more people. So thank you so much for coming today. I know today is not easy for you, so it really means a lot to all of us that you were here sharing your story and sharing your words of inspiration. So thank you.
Tomer, thank you for using your story and your personal heroism to inspire and to strengthen our community and the countless number of others that you have been engaging since you were here at the Nova exhibit. I will also take with me, Nathan, that message of pain to transform into power, to create purpose. You made a choice, Tomer, and you made a choice to be different, and your choice is impacting and helping all of us. Thank you. Very painful, very powerful. And Nathan, we're very proud of you, Nathan, that you are the warrior of the next generation who is bringing so much of Tomer's story to life and taking on the responsibility of Am Yisrael wherever you go, both as a student at NYU and as ready as a community leader. And we are grateful to you for creating this opportunity for us, and we look forward to sharing in many, many more of your contributions in the years to come. We're very proud of you, Nathan. On that dreadful day, there were several tragedies and traumas that took place concurrently. We now know there were thousands of these barbarian savages that broke through the barriers protecting Israel from Gaza. And they slaughtered, killed, murdered, maimed, and created great harm to people in the Yishuvim, like Be'eri and Kfar Aza, cities like Sderot and Ofakim. And many survived, many great stories of heroism. Unfortunately, thousands were killed, over 1,000. And as you know, also 250 innocent lives were abducted and taken hostage into the dungeons and the tunnels of the regressive and repressive places of Gaza. They have still been those who were not murdered are still being held hostage without contact with their families, friends, or loved ones. And somehow the world order seems to ignore, forget, and fail to protect the lives of our innocent Jews, which creates even more of a responsibility for all of us to stand up and remember the lives of the people who have been impacted and the hostages that are still being held in those dreadful places. Please watch this movie.
מי יודע כל כאב, מי רופא לי שבורי לב, יוצא אור וחושך, עושה שלום ומלחמה. מי יושב על כיסא דין, מתכסה ברחמים, מוכן וסולח, מביט ויודע, ומי ירפא ליבי, אל מי אני מתגעגע, כמו ים שאין לו חוף, רק תגיד לי מי יחבק אותי, והבטיח שאני לא אכנע בסוף. מי היה עובר יהיה, מי ממית ומחיה, פותח ידיים, מצמיח כנפיים, ומי ירפא ליבי, אל מי אני מתגעגע, כמו ים שאין לו חוף, רק תגיד לי מי יחבק אותי, והבטיח שאני לא אכנע בסוף, שאני לא אכנע בסוף.
Please rise. I invite Jeff Braverman, proud father of Jonah, Melissa, and Jordana, to lead us in the Askara L'Nitzachei Atkufot HaChamas V'Hanoflim B'Kravot. Thank you for including me today.
rachamim Shochein b'meromim Hamitzei Menucha nechona Al kanfei hashchina B'mahalot Kedoshim Tehorim V'giborim Kezoar harakia Meirim Umazhirim Lenishmot HaKedoshim Ezrachei Yisrael Anashim Nashim Yeladim V'yeladot Shenehergu Shenertzechu Shenisrefu Shenitmehu Bidei Meratzchei HaChamas B'nei Havilah Umasru Nafsham Al Kiddush Hashem Behatakafa Achzarit Al Yeshuvei Medinat Yisrael Ulenishmot Chayalei Tzva Hagana Yisrael Shotrei Mishteret Yisrael Ve'anshei Kochot Habitachon Shemasru Nafsham Al Kedushat Hashem Ve'naflu Mot Giborim Bakeravot Al Haganat Ha'am Ve'aretz Ba'avur She'anu mitpalelim Le'ilui nishmotehem Began Eden Tehei menuchatam lachein Bal harachamim yastirem Beseter knafav leolamim Bitzror hachayim et nishmotehem Adonai hu nachalatam V'yanuchu b'shalom al mishkavotam V'yamdu legoralam leketz hayamin V'nomar amen.
Please be seated. The enemies of the Jewish people glorify death. They celebrate it. It's a central focus of their twisted theological beliefs. The Jewish people celebrate life. B'charta b'chayim man tichyeh. And even while we struggle to understand and process and personalize and internalize the unthinkable, at the same time, we always look forward. Even when people lose family members, there is a discrete period of time for mourning. There's Shiva, Shloshim, for parent, Yud Bet Chodesh. We don't hover over the death. We don't obsess. We don't celebrate. We look at the death and the loss and the suffering, and we try to make meaning. Sometimes it's hard to make meaning while we are in the midst of the struggle, but sometimes meaning becomes very apparent, and it becomes surface level and palpable. It's transformative. Tomer spoke about that, how he was able to create meaning out of his suffering. We're a little bit more removed than our brothers and sisters in Israel, but nevertheless, the Jewish community worldwide, no matter where they are, kept two emotions side by side in their hearts. The emotion of sadness but the inspiration and the encouragement of resilience. And the solidarity that we experienced post-October 7th has truly been a transformative experience. It bubbled up. There was no one organization that cohered and brought people together. Every individual just said, what could I be doing differently? As Tomer said, people just showed up. They devoted their resources, their time, their energy, their lives, either financially or personally, just to make a difference, to be the light for someone else's darkness. And through that, created their own sense of life and light and purpose. It didn't take generations. It took days. Your generation and generations older than you all understood that there was a time for mourning, and at the same time, at the same exact overlapping contemporaneous time, a time for engagement and activism. We're going to spend a few minutes this morning focusing on the strength, the resilience, the resolve, the fortitude, the courage, the stamina, the bravery of our people, which should be the message for you. Because now you are going to become those people who in one way or another will make a difference to the Tomers of our lifetime.
מקווה שאת עוד שומרת רגעים שמחים למזכרת פעם אנשים עוד כתבו לך כאן שירים על מחברת זוכרת היפהפייה נרדמת עד מתי תהי מדממת ברחובות כולם אין חלון ואין סולם אין גם דלת או שלט, אז שר לך שיר ישן, שיר ישן, שיר ישן, נשאר לך נאמן, נאמן, לעולם, לעולם. הנביאים חזו לך אחרת מישהו נרדם במשמרת איפה החלום אין אמת ואין שלום אין גם צדק רק צדק אז שר לך שיר ישן שיר ישן שיר ישן נשאר לך נאמן נאמן לעולם 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 לא נשבר בשלום ובצר במתוק ובמה רק איתך אני שר
No war is surviving. We have no place else to go.
רק איתך אני שר את היחידה מיוחדת לעולם תהי לי מולדת על סף תהום, גם בתוך הגיהנום את גן עדן, גן עדן.
תשכח ימיני, תדבק לשוני לחיקי, אם לא אזכרכי, אם לא אעלה את ירושלים, על ראש שמחתי.
JKJ and RKYHS is proud of our alumni soldiers who are fighting. One is actually seriously wounded in Lebanon this week. And we pray for his recovery. We have soldiers who are in the Air Force, infantry, tanks, soldiers who we can't even tell you their names. And we're proud of our JKHA, RKOHS graduates who are warriors on their college campuses, who are involved in Israel Action, who engaged in AIPAC, who are creating forums for dialogue, who are connecting to people one at a time to make a difference. We have an Israel Action Committee in RKYHS who will introduce the next video, and I think you'll share with me the same sense of proud and courage and hope as I introduce Atara, Yoshi, and Aya to come to the stage.
This year, we worked to create the Israel Action Committee, a committee that's sole purpose is to aid Israel. While Israel is always in our hearts, we aim to provide care and help to the displaced families and Chayalim who have been struggling post-October 7th, 2023, 1 year ago. Getting involved in any way we can not only helps those who need it, but helps us feel like we're doing something to make a difference. The following video highlights all of the various ways the RKYHS community has come together to support our brothers and sisters in Israel over this past year.
אנחנו דם אחד, עם אחד, מיוחד, אין לנו מקום אחר ללכת. אני צריך אותך, אוהב אותך, אח שלך ניצחנו מלחמות גדולות מאלה.
ורק ביחד נעבור הכל, רק שלא ניפול, רק שלא ניפול. ובעזרת השם ישוב האור, הכי חשוב לזכור. אנחנו עם אחד, מאוחד, ויש לנו מכל צבעי הקשר. תראה אותי, תיתן לי יד, אחרת לא נוכל לישון בשקט. ובקרוב נצעק בקול גדול, אנחנו לא ניפול, אנחנו לא ניפול. שום דבר אותנו לא ישבור, הכי חשוב לזכור.
אנחנו דם אחד, עם אחד, מיוחד, אין לנו מקום אחר ללכת. אני צריך אותך, אוהב אותך, אח שלך, יחד נעבור את זה בשקט.
אנחנו דם אחד, עם אחד, מיוחד, אין לנו מקום אחר ללכת. אני
שלך, אח שלך, יחד נעבור את זה בשקט. יחד נעבור את זה בשקט.
עם אמונה גדולה נתחיל מההתחלה, ביחד זה לא להרים ידיים, זאת לא תקופה קלה ואין פה שאלה, בסוף נרים את הראש מעל המים,
ביחד ננצח את הכל, אנחנו לא ניפול, אנחנו לא ניפול, וגם כשלא ראינו את האור, הכי חשוב לזכור, הכי חשוב לזכור, אנחנו דם אחד, עם אחד, מיוחד, אין לנו מקום אחר ללכת, אני צריך אותך, אוהב אותך, שלך, יחד נעבור את זה בשקט, אנחנו דם אחד, עם אחד, מיוחד, אין לנו מקום אחר ללכת, אני צריך אותך, אוהב אותך, אח שלך, יחד נעבור את זה בשקט. יחד נעבור את זה בשקט.
Hello everyone and Shana Tova. I hope you had a wonderful start to your school year. We've had a very busy couple of weeks on campus, just recently putting the Palestinian Solidarity Committee before the advisory board and finally removed from campus once and for all, and a number of other inside and outside protester actors extricated from university grounds, which was a big victory. And we've also organized a number of pro-Israel gatherings for the community, which I think has brought everyone together in a pretty meaningful way. Obviously, it's a difficult time on campus in general, but at least speaking for the Harvard Jewish community, I think that the entire student population has been brought together and galvanized in a way that it may not have been in a very, very long time. And that's been an incredibly inspiring thing to witness and play a small role in. Wishing you all a wonderful start to the new year and many great things to come.
Hi everyone, my name is Maya Homa and I work for 9 Hillels on college campuses all across New York City. My job is to provide students with the education, tools, and skills they need to become advocates for themselves during a time of increased and rising anti-Semitism. And most importantly, my job is to instill Jewish joy and Jewish pride during these difficult times. And I want you to know that even what you're seeing in the media might seem scary about college campuses, we're more prideful and more happy and more resilient than ever because the Jewish people aren't going anywhere, so there's nothing to be afraid of. But I also want you to know you should take your Jewish education very seriously because it will become one of the most important assets and resources that you will need later on in life. But also, invest in your Jewish identity and Jewish pride because the nation of Israel isn't going anywhere and we will live on. Am Yisrael Chai.
Hi, my name is Jonah Eisenberg. I graduated Kushner in 2020, and in March 2022, I drafted to the Givati Brigade, and I finished my service a year ago in August. When the war broke out, after October 7th, I flew back from Miluim. I was in Israel for 2 months for Miluim and spent 3 weeks in Gaza. I said there's one idea that we could take for this time of year is that no one person could save the world, but every single person can take on a small action, whether that's helping out a little bit more at home or saying hello to someone new every day, and each of us collectively can make the world a better place without each person feeling they have the world on their shoulders.
Hi everyone, my name is Brianna Halpern and I am a senior at the University of Miami. After graduating from the Ray Kushner Yeshiva High School in 2021, I went to a secular college and took it upon myself to continue my love for Israel and my love for Judaism by bringing that energy onto campus and help invigorating the Jewish people here on campus and giving them as much power and promise and voice that I could. I did this by becoming the president of the Chabad here, and we have weekly events surrounding Israel and Judaism, and I can confidently say that the University of Miami is such a welcoming and open campus for all things Israel and Judaism.
I think you should all know that there is a vibrant Orthodox and pro-Israel community on many college campuses, including my own. Personally, when an encampment started at my campus, I wrote an article that appeared in my school newspaper. Along with many of my friends, I had the opportunity to visit Israel with students from my college, and we lobbied the administration when anti-Semitic incidents increased. I think that Kushner gave you the tools to be able to intelligently defend Israel when you get to college, but you should know that you won't have to do that alone.
Hi, my name is Chloe Katz, and I graduated from RKYHS in 2021 and from JKJ in 2019. I am a senior in the dual degree program between Tel Aviv University and Columbia University. Spending those 2 years in Israel changed my life. There's nothing like living in Israel. On October 7th, the world stopped. It stopped for us both as individuals and as a people. For me, someone fresh off the plane from Israel with my feet on Columbia's campus, where loud, angry protests were just getting started, as some of you may have seen, I knew that I couldn't stay silent. I remember hearing as a Kushner student warnings that I might see anti-Semitism and anti-Israel sentiment on campus, but I never thought I would see it manifest in the way that it did. It is my opinion that as a Columbia student, I have every right to speak out about what I know about Israel and what I have seen with my own eyes. I have tabled on campus under banners that say, I spent my summer break in Israel, ask me about it. I am a Zionist, ask me why, and I am a Tel Aviv University dual degree student, ask me anything. I have met with the president and dean of my school to amplify the experiences of discrimination that my Jewish, Israeli, and Tel Aviv University dual degree program peers have experienced. I have participated in protests and in rallies, and I wear my Jewish star necklace and my yellow pin with pride. I will not stop participating in programs that encourage dialogue, mutual respect, and empathy. I will not stop being proud of who I am and where I come from. Our Jewish community at Columbia is as strong as ever, if not stronger. And that doesn't mean that Columbia deserves its Jewish students after everything that we've experienced in the past year. But it does mean that Od lo avda tikvatinu liot am chovshi. Our hope is not yet lost to be a free nation. And whether that is in Israel or in America, in Tel Aviv or in New York City, we have every right to be a free nation, and we will always be a nation of hope and of resilience, even in the darkest times. Am Yisrael Chai.
Platoon 2. Keep your eyes peeled, be ready, and do what you're trained to do. It's our turn to protect our families, our country, and our nation. These are the words I relayed to my platoon as we prepared for a possible intrusion at the border with Lebanon, just 3 days after the horrific events of October 7th. From the day I met my soldiers on October 7th to that tense moment, and throughout the 6 months of reserve duty that followed, we experienced a mix of fear, unity, and strength. It was an interesting combination, but in the end, fear was lost. As the days passed, our confidence grew, starting with each other and expanding to a sense of national pride. The Israeli army is a melting pot, a microcosm of our nation, bringing together people from all backgrounds. In my unit alone, we have a secular from Tel Aviv, a Haredi from Beit Shemesh, and everything in between. But no matter our differences, political or religious, we put it all aside when we got the call on October 7th. We stood proud and strong on the front lines as rockets fell near and far. I recall one night when the secular and Haredi soldiers stood guard together. They shared stories, laughter, and a mutual commitment to protect not just each other, but all of us. In those moments, we were not divided by our backgrounds, we were united by our shared purpose. After guarding towns near the border, we were called up to set up camp directly along the border. Our mission was to establish a minimal footprint base camp to avoid drawing attention from enemy drones and to provide a first line of defense against an infiltration. We picked up shovels and started digging and filling sandbags. We dug trenches to protect ourselves from the almost daily rocket fire and drone attacks targeting our positions and the surrounding neighborhoods. More than once, I'd pause with my soldiers to take in the moment. I couldn't help but reflect that here we are in 2024, 76 years since 1948, once again digging trenches along Israel's border, united in our duty to protect the country and people from those who sought to harm us. As we worked, acts of kindness and solidarity lifted our spirits. Local communities sent homemade food and letters of support. International communities, including all of you, donated tons of life-saving equipment and money to help us fight, reminding us that we aren't alone, that the entire nation stood with us, the entire Jewish people. A few years ago, I helped co-found a nonprofit that helps support Haredi soldiers serving in the paratroopers. I met with them before and then during the war, and I saw how quickly they had transformed from boys into men. The war changed them, as I'm sure it did all of you, just as pivotal events have transformed our nation throughout history. Moments like this force us to come together, to build the trenches, and to emerge as a strong, united people. As we started to sweep up the base after the suspected infiltration on the Lebanon border, my soldiers called out to me from behind, "We're behind you. Anachnu achalecha." In that moment, I felt a surge of Jewish pride, the same feeling I had waving the Israeli flag high with pride during the Hanukkah and Yom Ha'atzmaut celebrations at Kushner, or even marching in the Israeli Day Parade. This date, October 7th, will always remind us of sadness and tragedy, but it also highlights our enduring spirit. We faced immense challenges before, and each time, we've emerged stronger. To you, Kushner students and faculty, your unity, your resolve, and your actions will help influence what happens next. As it says in the Gemara, Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh Lazeh. All of Israel are responsible for one another. Each of you, as part of the global Jewish community, has a vital role to play. By staying strong and connected, you help strengthen the bond between Jewish communities around the world and contribute to the resilience of our people. Help us in praying for the return of the remaining hostages and the return of the northern citizens to their homes. So just as I told my soldiers that day, I now say to you, keep your eyes peeled, be ready, do what you were trained to do. It's our turn to protect our families, our country, and our nation. Don't give up hope, be strong. They may try to beat us down again and again and again, but we're not going anywhere. Am Yisrael Chai.
אנחנו דם
Please rise. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, הוא יברך את חיילי צבא הגנה לישראל, העומדים על המשמר ארצנו, והרי אלוהינו מגבול הלבנון ועד מדבר מצרים, ומן הים הגדול עד לבוא הערבה, ביבשה, באוויר ובים, הוא יברך את חיילי צבא הגנה לישראל, הוא יברך את חיילי צבא הגנה לישראל, הוא יברך את חיילי צבא הגנה לישראל. ייתן אדוני את אויבינו הקמים עלינו ניגפים לפניהם. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור ויציל את חיילינו מכל צרה וצוקה ומכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשי ידיהם, ידבר שונאינו תחתיהם, ויעטרם בכתר ישועה ובעטרת ניצחון, וקוים בהם הכתוב, כי אדוני אלוהיכם ההולך עמכם להילחם לכם, עם אויביכם להושיע אתכם, ונאמר אמן.
Please be seated. Individual prayer has impact on the Borei Olam and the world around us, and of course on the individual petitioner. But collective prayer, community prayer, is strong because it unites our voices and our hearts as one person. We are going to engage in a small experience, a short experience of community prayer by way of singing. And song is always the deepest expression of thoughts that perhaps are difficult to express in words alone. So please join us. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. Contribute. Be a voice as Kayla, Tzvi, Ilan, and Evie lead us in slow Shira. Dr. Madsen, thank you.
Kadosh Baruch Hu Matzilenu, Matzilenu Miyadam. Ya Kadosh Baruch Hu Matzilenu, Matzilenu Miyadam.
applause. I take it back. They deserve our applause. We are concluding our program. You know, Jonah summarized the words of Chazal when he said, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor v'lo ata ben chorin mimena. Not one of us could change the entire world, but together we do our part, and it makes the whole difference. We're still in the penitential season when we end each one of our tefillot, shacharit and ma'ariv, with the David Hashem Ori, when we say, Kaveh al Hashem chazak v'ametz libecha v'kaveh al Hashem, that we have a dual responsibility at any time, and that is to look to Hashem as Sa'ene al Arim me'ayin yavo ezri, but it's also chazek v'ametz libecha, we need to strengthen ourselves. And that duality that works with overlapping harmony is the responsibility of every one of us, is that we just don't only kavel at Hashem, we're also chazek v'ametz libecha. And that's the message that everyone should walk away with, that how are you going to become stronger and more resolute and more connected and more committed, like Maya said, taking your Jewish education seriously and investing and engaging and learning and having knowledge and inspiration as your source and foundation for all of your energy. You're here in JKHA, RKYHS with the privilege of every single day making a difference. You could choose to make that difference and make a difference for yourselves and people around you. And as Tomer said, after a few days of just self-reflection and introspection, he's going to make that difference. I'm proud that we will make that difference today and moving forward. And as we conclude our Avinu Malkeinu prayers every single day, when we say to Hashem, Aseh l'man boi ba'esh al kiddush shemecha al tvuchim al orgim al shem kadshecha. We also say, Nekom le'neinu nikmad tam avadecha shafuch. We pray to God for justice and strength, that we will continue to carry on with happiness, with celebration, with cheer and joy, celebrating all of the great moments of our lives together as a Jewish community. And with that, it gives me great joy and a lot of nachat to invite the RKYHS choir to lead us in Hatikva. Please come to the stage, and the rest of our students, please rise. I appreciate the din of excitement that I'm hearing in the audience, but we're going to maintain decorum, respect, and derech eretz throughout the entire program.
Mizrach
Thank you very much for the inaugural performance of the RKYHS Chamber Chorus. 7th and 8th grade, please proceed to 4th period using the back doors of the auditorium. RKYHS only exit through the hallway by the Cobra Cafe.
I'm on the group chat.